So kubva pakabudikira the retired general the retired air marshal Henry Muchena vachibudisa point of view vachibudisa position iri kutogwa nemamwe ema-retired generals nema-serving generals uye nema-ex combatants etc vachibudisa point yavo yekuti vari kuoposa 2030 yangu wabatai vanhu vari kubudikira muZANU-PF right now muri yeZimbabwe vachibudikira now they were hiding nguva yese they were quiet, they were not talking about it, they were acting like they don't care even if 2030 succeeds because vanga vasati vana that substance military backing vanga vasati vahwa that voice from the military. But now that the military have made it clear through the retired general, not to say the whole military or anything, but some of the guys in the military and some of the guys who are retired, they are also supporting this to stop the amendment bill of 2030. So pabudikira vanhu vakati one day right now tozoti even ivo the retired air marshal Henry Muchena have actually came back to reply some of the things zvaitagwa nemunangagwa faction vanatemba muliso nevamwe vake vachiti magenerals ma-retired generals avo makwara etc havasi why vasingabudikiri vese. Then the air marshal have come again condemning temba. So tichapinda mune mapoints ese iwayo but regai timbotanga neiyi. So this is rutendo matinyarara ari kutaura izvinezvi. Inzwai munzwa apa pakurizenwa. Inzwai munzwa bwe mufanira kunzwisisa kuti why vana munangagwa vachiti zvinogona kuitika under the law and why havachiti hazviitika under the law. Before watanga kufeel us too much chimbotanga wanzwa the technicalities of the constitution or of the law, right? Inzwai zviri kutaurwa nemukomana. What is the term limit by law? It's a question. You are calling a term a length to try and differentiate it from a term, but the constitution expressly refers to it as a term, not a length. So constitution ichitaura inoti a president will serve for 2 terms and those 2 terms are 5 years each. And it so chiri kutonzi term apa ndo 5 years idzodzo kwete kuti you start talking about, because length nderimwe word rinogona kureplacewa na term. Yes, when we are defining time muri vabata ipapa. So handei kumberi. Inzwai munzwa mukomana yambira chiti in legal terms a political term limit includes both the number of terms and the duration years a person can serve. There can be no term without defining how many years constitute that term. As such, if we have a limit on the number of terms one serves, we automatically have a limit of the duration too, because you can't have a term without a defined limit on the duration of the term. Because this is a term, it's a definition. Yes, something and this time we're talking about time period and position of power. It's a defined thing. Kuti term, which means we have defined this thing. It's a 5-year thing. Yes, and you will be in the position of being the president or MP. Let's go. Inzwai munzwa muresi baba. Boza pakuda kungwara. So arguenda mbera chiti according to our constitution, a person is deemed to have served a term when they are in office for at least 3 years, with the full term being 5 years. This is expressed and unequivocally, right? It not only defines a term, but also establishes its duration and limit. In other words, this is a term with a defined limit or a cap, as you put it. Chakavagwa chunichi haugoni kutushura uchibudikira muchigubhu uchida kuramba uchitonga ayo ukavharirwa pa 5 years. So the drafters did not merely refer to the life of parliament. They specifically stated that the president's and vice president's time in office is 5 years and conterminous with the life of parliament. This means the 5-year presidential term sets the boundary for parliament as well. In effect, the term served by the president and vice president determines the lifespan of parliament. That is why there is no separate, explicitly defined term limit for MPs. Their tenure is tied to section 95 2b, which limits the president and vice president to 5-year term, thereby setting the same boundary for the parliament. Zimbabwe, therefore, it is not the undefined duration of parliament that determines how long the president serves. Rather, it is the president's defined term that determines how long MPs serve. So, constitution ikubatanidza ma MPs ne term ya president. And the term ya president is defined with it's a 5-year thing and is tied to the MPs as well. Now, wakumana wakubudikira wachitiyo, since terms ema MP asina kudefine isusu takubudikira chiti isusu toda kuchinja term ema MP katachinja term ema MP since retired term ya president then term ya president yochinja yoita 7 years muruba wisisa, which is in reality memchizama kufonyora chinhu chisingafonyoki because chinhu ichichi chine a defined thing yekunzi a president unotonga for 5 years and ma MPs also ari kutevera ipapo. And tisatotombopedza argument iyoyo already mematosungwa once tadero makatosungwa already nemutemo unoti iye ani nani achatsvaga kuchinja this zvatakasinyora pano zvokuti 5 years term and whatever anani achatsvaga kuchinja izvo. First thing chafanirwa kuita kuvanhu through a referendum kuti achinje izvozvo, and then after that iye pachake haabvumidzwi nemutemo kuti adi kuti abenefite from that change ani muri pabata. So kana achida kubenefita from that change unofanira kudzokera fupiri kupi kureferendum. That's why paifanira kuti mareferendum too. Eno tose tiri kuzivisa muri Zimbabwe. Gaende kumberi. You argue that a new law is required to extend the term from 5 years to 7 years because the current constitution caps it at 5 years, but a definitive cap on the duration of a term is, by definition, a term limit. A term limit does not have to explicitly say right. A term limit does not have to say a term limit does not have to explicitly say serve only 5 years, as Jonathan Moore says. It simply needs to establish a clear and unequivocal cap or boundary on the time a person can hold office. ZANU-PF is attempting to introduce a law to change the current term from 5 years to 7 years precisely because it is limited to 5 years. That is by definition a term limit, one that can only be altered through a referendum. Right, muri Zimbabwe ende pane vamwe hobo futi vachiri kubudikira vanga vakamboitwa buried under, vanga vasiri kutaura pfungwa dzavo kuti no isusu hatisi kusapota amendment bill, vanga vachiri kungotaura something positive but ko zvino izvi pane substance pavaone vamwewo vakuruwo vari kubheka the discussion, vari kubheka the debate from the side of the majority of Zimbabweans, because ndiani kwari kuda kunzi anzi hauchavhotiwo, warijuswa iwo, hauna basa. Tine basa boys. So garai panapa, garai panapa, change chikupa more updates.